you bring your dancing shoes, buddy?
Always got them on. I wear them to bed.
You got us live this piece live on everything. All right. Happy Friday, everybody. If you are tuning in right now, you are tuned in to This Pink Cloud. We are a show all about sobriety, recovery, fun in recovery, entertainment, all kinds of good stuff, and sober curious. You know, if you're wondering what it's like or how to get there, we're here for you. We're here for you. This is season 2, episode 39. 39. Yay. All right. So, I always forget to introduce myself. I'm like, oh, everybody knows who I am.
Maybe I could introduce you.
Yeah, right. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. Sitting across from me, the bearded wonder, the vanilla Viking, LPC, LCDC, and I will not say the Charlie Manson reference today. But that is my good buddy, Dusty Burrows. What's up, Dusty?
What's up? It's good to be here, man. I'm in an excited mood. I don't know if it's like the fall weather, but I'm stoked today.
I'm excited about our guest today, but before we throw to our guest, we have our sponsors here that bring us here every week. We appreciate it. That is summersky.us, and that is 888-857-8857. Summersky.us, 888-857-8857. They are a lovely establishment out in Stephenville, Texas, where I got sober. I went there, and if it can work for me, it can work for you.
There it is, folks.
So, yeah, just reach out to them. Good people, good place, and, hey, it works so far.
So far, so good.
Yeah, exactly. And then special shout out to my buddy, Josh Jordan, for hooking me up with Quincy. And he is with CardinalHouseRecovery.com. So if you're in the DFW area, be sure and reach out to them. And actually, just send Josh a text today and ask him what he's wearing. Because I want to see, if anybody's actually going to do it. But
he's got good quads,
hold on. But his number is 918-998-4223. Once again, that is 918-998-4223. And just text him and ask him what he's wearing. And that'll be fun.
Probably short shorts.
Yeah, right. Daisy Dukes. Hey, but anyway. This guy has actually made time for us today, and I really, really appreciate it. It's the birthday boy. You might have heard of him. Quincy Carter, number 17. Let me go over his resume. Dallas Cowboys, New York Jets, Georgia Bulldogs, in the Cubs farm system, and a man in recovery. Did I cover it? Did I get it all?
I just love the last part. A man in recovery. You're right.
Right? All right, man. Well, I'm excited to have you on, and thanks for making time for us. I know you're at work, and we'll get to you're working at BRC now.
Yes, I just accepted the job about a month and a half ago, along with my boss, Monty. I'm one of the 2 alumni coordinators.
Oh, okay,
awesome.
Great, man. That's awesome. Well, hey, so what we normally do on the show is just kind of have you tell the folks, that might not know your colorful and celebrated history. Just give us a little history of where you, as far as like the athletics, and then where your addiction kind of happened and where it went off the wheels.
Okay. I guess it's a formal, kind of informal AA meeting, but Quincy, alcoholic addict, I pay my respects, man.
Yeah.
But I was born actually in Chicago. I like to say I was born in Chicago, but I was actually born in Bloomington, Illinois. But out the hospital, out the hospital, went straight to Chicago. Both of my parents are Chicago natives. My mom is more on the Chicago Heights side. My dad is a downtowner, West Sider of Chicago, all in it.
So White Sox?
Yeah. Actually, he was a White Sox fan, and
right.
I'm a Cubs. Yeah, and I'm a Cubs fan. But rest in peace. He just passed about 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that, man.
Oh man, no problem, man. But yeah, grew up in Atlanta. Right on the east side of Atlanta. Probably 3 blocks from Decatur, which really gave, gave me my sense of purpose in life at a real early age. So I always say I'm from Decatur, but my first residence was an apartment complex in Atlanta. Like I said, it was like 3 blocks from Decatur, which I moved to when I was about 12. But anyway, but man, had a real humbling upbringing. In the lower income apartments that we lived in. But you couldn't tell me I didn't have everything in the world. My mom worked, a few jobs and made sure I had everything. I started my athletic career very early at the age of 7 playing baseball. And baseball is my first love. Football came on a little bit later at 9 and 10.
I was going to say that I did a little research on you, and you were like in the farm system actually for the Chicago Cubs, right?
Yeah, I was. Fortunately, I got drafted right out of high school by the Chicago Cubs. But I started a weed habit. I would say, I started out for fun. About age of 15, 16, we had a drink-a-thon in the parking lot of an elementary school one night, and we were drinking 40s. And that beer just didn't agree with me. So down the first one, but midway through the second one, I threw that one up. And then we started smoking weed, and that's the feeling that I'll never forget. So it was off and on. Yeah, it was off and on through the rest of high school, but I really leaned on weed. And it really became my best friend when I got drafted by the Cubs. And went off the baseball, was alone for the first time, kind of trying to be a man and didn't have the tools to be one, away from mom, way up in Chicago, dealing with family that I never had grew up with because I moved down to Georgia at such an early age, but was only up and down, in Chicago during the summertime before my grandparents started to pass. And once they passed at 12, I never went really back to Chicago until I got drafted. So it really started there. I ended up getting drafted by the Cowboys in football, going back to football after a couple of years of baseball.
Well, now you're breezing over your college career. You were in Atlanta, and then you became a starter for the Bulldogs, correct?
Yeah. But I honestly, man, I signed with Georgia Tech coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, I got on their colors today, but it's really my high school.
Right.
It's really my high school, Southwest Decatur.
All right. But, shout out Southwest Decatur.
Hey, that's right. Actually, I was just at the homecoming last weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so I signed with Tech out of high school, but then I went straight baseball. So my scholarship was null and void at that point. And then coming back to football, Joe Hamilton had, pretty much cemented his place at the quarterback position at Georgia Tech. So I chose Georgia instead of Georgia Tech this time around.
Okay.
And so really Georgia was my number one coming out of high school.
Right. How many times have you been to the Varsity Grill?
We Varsity Grill in but I experienced the Varsity growing up.
Oh yeah,
because the first one was literally downtown.
Yeah, and if they don't know what the Varsity Grill is, it's a famous kind of drive-in diner, and their famous phrase is, "What do you have? What do you have?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. So yeah,
I know what's up.
Hey, we didn't baptize you too. That's good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I chose Georgia at that point in my life. It was the best business decision for me, football-wise, and then, of course, in sports. I'm sorry, as far as my books, I just wanted to major in sports studies because I always wanted to be a coach. So in every school had that. Things were fun in college, but it was always business to me. I was a regular smoker of marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking wasn't that prevalent. I didn't like to feel it. It had not came that prevalent for me at that time.
Sure.
So I really didn't like the feeling of being drunk.
Mm-hmm.
But marijuana was off and on for me. When life was good, I really wasn't smoking. And then when life, things got a little, I guess, testy in football, losing a couple games, the anxiety and the pressures of being, the quarterback for the whole state of Georgia. Basically, when you're the quarterback.
Dude, that's a lot of pressure, man. I can only imagine, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I use marijuana as a coping mechanism. And so I was really steamballing a marijuana addiction that I really thought I had a handle of, but I really didn't. And so then I get drafted by the Cowboys, and right off the bat, man, I got into the drug program. So I really had to stop smoking real early.
Oh yeah, because they drug test NFL, so they definitely check for weed. I don't think they check for weed so much in the NBA, but but they do for sure in the NFL.
Yeah, it's much lenient rules in the NBA.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was back then, and now they're they're more lenient now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So, the NFL is. They really loosen up too, and and a lot of that I think has to do with
it becoming
the NFL. Well, they've invested in the marijuana industry. So,
there we go. So it's a business move for them. I know. No, seriously, one day, like during football games, there's going to be weed commercials.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh God. Oh yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Right.
But they're major investors of marijuana.
Quincy,
Go ahead.
I had a question for you. You put two words together, marijuana and addiction. And there's a lot of people out there that don't believe that you can become addicted to marijuana. There's a lot of stigma out there for people to come forward and say, I have an addiction to marijuana. What message would you give to people like that, or even young folks out there who are experimenting with weed, about marijuana addiction?
Yeah. The advice I can give is, when you find yourself waking up in the morning and you can't eat your breakfast because you're trying to get an appetite behind marijuana first, when you're finding yourself, having a smoke to get through your day, to maybe go to meetings or whatever have a job you may have, when you find yourself walking around in the hallways at your high school and having to hit a vape pen in the bathroom, and you can't, and you're not supposed to be, altering your mind anyway, especially at that age, because your mind hasn't developed. But then when you find yourself, can't even get to practice just because you want to go smoke with the boys and letting marijuana take over your athletic career, then you got to take a hard look at that, you know. And then the most dangerous part about it is what I just kind of, said a little bit, but didn't expand on it, is that your brain has really not developed, until you get about 25 years old. So you're really shortening the process of really your greatness, man, and how much your mind can expand without a marijuana plant. So, and then you're dealing with a plant that's being produced more chemically and is way more addictive now too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and so because they're in the business now, so you're gonna make it more potent. You're gonna make it more addictive. So it's just a dangerous mindset to try to take on and thinking you got control of it. And then really, man, you can basically look at my life as an example of, having the world in my hands, being addicted to marijuana and then getting cut by the Cowboys, was doing some drinking, some ecstasy use at times, but nothing crazy. But then getting cut by the Cowboys, now your whole world is shook up. Now you got all this pain, this shame, this guilt, and now, dude, you're off to the races as far as cocaine, heavy alcohol use, of course, marijuana, pills, and you trying to put anything in your system, to take that pain away. And so, you want to, get your life back together, but now you got all these substances. Now you're substituting, the actual work of AA or, God. And so you're substituting all these substances for it. And then you just filling that addiction up, man. And that addiction is just doing push-ups and rolling, getting steam and rolling down a hill.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
And I've been facing them challenges, man. Ever since, I can just say August 4th, 2004. So my addiction I was a late bloomer on it, really.
Right, yeah. Well, I was going to say, because, you're almost, as an athlete and, I'm a DJ as well, like a club DJ, so I get it. It's like you're expected to party, too, It's like part of the deal, kind of, right?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. I really had a good grasp on what type of, environment I wanted to have myself around. And when I say that, early on, I was 16, 17 years old, I was meeting Deion Sanders and, partying downtown Atlanta at hot spots when I was 17, 18 years old. So I really got to experience that really early. I got to experience the real strip clubs. And so when I came to Texas, seriously. So when I came to Texas, Texas was kind of laid back from me from what I had experienced. And then in college, we would smoke and drink and have our fun, but we never got too out of control with it. So it wasn't crazy like that. Everybody talks about the White House that the Cowboys are famous for, but we never had a White House or anything like that. We chilled and had our moments, and had fun, but it wasn't crazy like that. Things really spun out of control for me after I got cut. But I had already created that monster, and my addiction was there already because I couldn't even stop smoking. I couldn't even stop smoking when I was in the NFL. And then I ended up failing that test, and things really just took off on me, man. So, so that's why I say I was a little late to the party as far as the hardcore, your cocaine and ecstasy and stuff like that. But, I did dab a little bit, of course. I'm not going to sit here and sound like a saint before my addiction took off in 2004. But, my addiction took the brunt of the hit, I would say, after I got cut. Yep.
Yeah. So, but you were you were actually, with the Cowboys for 2 years, and if people don't know, and then you actually went to the Jets, right? And then after the Jets, then you had the then it seems like you were treading water because did you go CFL or where'd you go?
I went to the CFL for a year up in Montreal, and that I didn't get signed by a team in 2005, and it didn't look like I was getting signed in 06. So I went up to Montreal, and my attitude, ego had just, inflated so bad. Where we were in training camp, and I was talking to the GM, and I told him like, because we would have practices like right behind each other, literally, and we would rest on the field, drink water, bananas, and all that good stuff. And I was reading the paper, and I've seen in the paper that he said that I was going to be a good backup for the CFL. Oh. And dude, like literally, like right after his press conference that he was having, literally about 30 yards from me, I walked over to him. I had the paper in my hand because he had, told me I was going to compete for the starting job, and I got the newspaper in his hand. And I was like, bro, and I'm talking to him like I'm straight off the street somewhere, dude. It was the most disgusting thing. And I'm handing him the paper, and I'm like, bro, you told me that you were going, that I was going to have a chance to start, here in Montreal, not come up here to be a backup and blah.
Yeah, did you give him the old "Do you know who I am" speech?
Everything under the sun, dude. And let me tell you this: how well my speech went over. I got cut about 45 minutes later.
Well, there's also that famous time when you had a little heated discussion with old Mr. Jones on the sideline too, right?
Exactly, man. And so I took some of that, along with me. And to be honest with you, man, my that was one time, one experience in 2002 with Jerry Jones, when that happened.
Well, sometimes, Quincy, sometimes, I'm going to go ahead and defend you here. Sometimes Jerry Jones does need to be told what to do. I'm just going to say that.
No, I was dead wrong in that.
Yeah, I got you.
But honestly, I was still smoking during that time. See, I had just got into the program around that time, and I was on the verge of getting into the phase of the program where you had to stop. You know what I mean? But I should have didn't stop around about a month ago, because now when I'm not smoking, it's not altering my mind, and I'm not getting this in this me against the world mentality. Hell, 03 blemishes. Going back to my freshman year in college, blemishes. So when marijuana was involved, it changed my mindset. It changed my attitude. Of course, I had a little drinking in there too. But like I said, I never wanted to be in that drunk of state. But yeah, there was another time, and I was full blown in my addiction when I was up there in Montreal. I had no business in nobody's locker room. But I had this God-given talent that I wasn't allowing God to let flourish.
Oh yeah.
And so these are the results. When he's not in the picture, man, and he's not in control.
Right. Hey, real quick, have you made amends to Jerry Jones?
I haven't yet. This is so funny. I was at a golf event about a month ago, and I was able to make amends to Emmett Smith, and it was so weird though, because I went with Hollywood Henderson, so we was at this little banquet for these kids with Charles Haley, and I walked over to Emmett because that day that you were talking about cursing Jerry Jones out on the field, I got into it with Emmitt Smith on the field that day too.
Oh, shit.
And then the next game, he broke the record, but they benched me right after, both of those little episodes. And we hadn't really spoke, since then, because we didn't really speak the rest of the season because I didn't start anymore. So that was my first time seeing him, in 15, 17 years or whatever. And I just walked up to him. I said, dude, man, how you doing? He asked about my mom. He's such a good dude. But I said, man, listen, I got to make amends to you right now. This is what we do in recovery. I asked him, I said, is there anything that you got to say about this? And I let him say this piece. And I said, I know this was so goddamn weird, but it had to be done.
Yeah.
But yes, man, that happened with Emmett about a month ago.
That's cool, man.
I haven't with Jerry. I haven't with Jerry, but my grand sponsor is Hollywood Henderson. So I've been asking him, like, man, when can we do this with Jerry? He just said, man, relax, dude. It's gonna happen. Let it happen. So
Hey,
but I'm waiting on that.
So since you brought up Thomas Hollywood Henderson, he's got a great story. I've heard him, but I have a fact or fiction for you. So currently, right now, you could beat Thomas Henderson in the 40-yard dash.
Hell yeah. He is my friend.
All right.
I got a question for this.
Hold on. Let me follow that up with now in his prime and in y'all's subsequential primes, who would have won?
Yeah, he would have got me.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. I would have thought you said you all the way.
Hollywood ran a 4.4 one time, man.
Yeah.
Like legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, now then he got another ego story to tell you a 4.3, but I'm really not doing
That's that Hollywood talking?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But no, Hollywood was a beast. I always talk junk to him too and say, man, you ain't faced no quarterback like me back when you were playing.
Yeah, exactly. What were you going to say, Dusty?
Oh, yeah, two questions. You brought up two things. God, I want to know what is your relationship with God in your recovery? What was it like before, and how has it played a part in your recovery? And the second question, you mentioned Hollywood Henderson. Can you tell us a little bit more about your relationship with Hollywood?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I go into the God question first, man. Man, I tell you the truth. I got here and was so willing when I got to BRC, was so willing to do everything, man. But I literally, and I sat right, this porch is right behind me right here, man. I sat here at 4:35 in the morning sometimes because I was an early riser, and I never forget the day I just looked up to the sky. It's almost like I'm facing, it's so prophetic right now. It's almost like I'm facing the sky right now, which way I was facing. And I just looked up and said, God, I know I've, begged you and pleaded with you to save my life again and fix me up and everything you've done for me, Lord. But Lord, if you're with me, just give me signs that you're with me. And so little bit by little bit, through my counselor, through my own strength, I could see God was still with me. I never disowned God, but I went through phases like I was mad with God, like he was stuffing drugs down my face,
right?
Or yeah, I'm like he was the one to decide to fail a drug test. And so, man, from that point on, and plus, you got your tugs and struggles with going through rehab and all your emotions, but. I made it a constant to bring him in my life every morning, let him work for me, and then it just continued to just build and build. And so, man, and that's where I'm at. And I'm always seeking to try to get to that next level, try to be in the right spirit realm, to give back to not only clients of need here at BRC, but then my own kids, my own personal kids, my quarterbacks. And so, man, I just, when it talks about in the third step, turning your life and your will over to God, man, I'm truly doing that. And I've never done that before. I grew up in the church, and I, thought I had a relationship with God.
But it was always Quincy trying to drive the bus, right? Yeah,
exactly.
I found that out too. Yeah.
It was the benefits of what I can get from God and not so wholeheartedly seeking him like I'm seeking him now. So God has played such an instrumental part of my recovery. He is my recovery. But AA is the foundation also too. And they're both sitting up on a pedestal, but of course God first.
Yeah.
But my relationship with Hollywood, man, is Hollywood has been in this thing with me since 2007, man. So he's seen me, the struggles, going in and out of rehab, not wholeheartedly submitting myself to this program and God. And so he's watched the struggle with me, man, but he never judged. He's always been in my corner. And finally, you know, in 2017 or 2019, he made the call to Marshall Stone and finally said, man, I think this is the only place that's going to get you right. Because he knows the work, the details that goes into recovery. It's a longer, you know, period of recovery, 90 days, but I end up staying 5 months.
Oh, wow.
I even went through Makana, you know, for 45 days.
You know, I'm a big fan of a sober living situation after people go to rehab, especially, you know, because I mean, once you get out of rehab, then you're just like flying without a net, and I mean that net's supposed to be your network, like AA and all that good stuff. But you know, a lot of times, you know, you just with that freedom, you just have a tendency to, you know, go back to those habits.
Exactly, and that was a good bridge for me. I had did it once in sober living with Hollywood down in Florida in 2008, but I really wasn't living a program. I was trying to act like I wanted to be sober just to get back in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so this time it felt different. I was still working on some anger issues, but it was a great step down for me to really supplant myself back into society the way that I needed to, and the way that I, you know, had to go about it, especially with my addiction, man.
Right. No, I hear you. Hey, so quick question while we're talking about Hollywood Henderson, who has the stronger I was going to say who has the stronger pimp hand, Thomas Hollywood Henderson or Mark Gastineau? Do you know?
What?
No, like the biggest player game, like, or the best fur coat collection, Thomas Hollywood Henderson or Mark Gastineau. Do you know who Mark Gastineau is?
Yeah, 99 for the Jets, right?
You know him, yeah.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I don't think he got bigger than Hollywood. In his day.
I'm gonna have to have Hollywood on the show now, man. I got to know that question, man. I got to talk to him about Chimney Hill.
We got to get him on. Yeah. But I have seen Gastineau. I guess I'm getting a picture of him at like some Jets games before the game on the sideline. We on the same page with some of this stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but man, of course, man. You know, I would say Wood.
Yeah. No, I got you. Did you have a question, Doug?
Yeah, I did. You know, you talked about some of the anger issues. I always come with the counseling questions, of course. So you've heard in the rooms, you know, that our addiction, our alcoholism is only a symptom of the real problem, the symptom of the disease. For you, what was your core issue you think you were covering up with alcohol and drugs?
Man, I was covering up the embarrassment of getting cut. You know, from the Cowboys. I was covering up that I blew a lifetime opportunity to be the quarterback of the Cowboys. I was covering up that I let down my family, my friends. I was covering up that, you know, the relationships with my kids were nil to nothing. That I thought they were okay, me doing all the drunk calling and stuff. And so I was covering up all these things that really deep down inside were bothering me. And so when I got sober, and you know, you starting to pick up a few months, you know, here at rehab and then along with sober living, it's like, okay, now I'm in a phase of I don't have these substances anymore to take this pain away, you know. So dang, you know, I'm used to being a quarterback. So dang, man, I got to pick up the phone for real, and call with some substance to Hollywood or Ant or, you know, my sponsor here in Austin, Skip Walker, you know. And so now I got to lean on these tools with going to a meeting, you know, getting outside of yourself and talking with somebody, actually reading a book and letting it help for you, getting on your knees and praying and not thinking you're in control of everything. So all of these things had to be retooled in my mind, man. And there were days where, all that pain was too great and we're not going to use the tools. So then we're going to try to lash out on somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And they might say the smallest of things, but man, that thing's sitting up on his shoulder and ready to just bark and move, So man, I had to learn, how to internalize it. I had to learn how to identify it too, and know where it was coming from, who I am as a person, because I'm usually, hitting some of that weed and taking the edge off, and then, later on that weed will go, to cocaine and drinking and heavy drinking and all that. But I'm, was used to, starting the party like that and breathing, and then you ain't really worried about nothing.
Yeah.
And then, so I built so many years of living like that, and finally, that had to stop. And then getting angry, really got bored too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like I wouldn't say boring, but it got to a point where it just wasn't sitting right with my soul. And then after you getting all blown up about something, then you got to come back down like, bruh, like what just happened?
Yeah.
Like you can't use these tools to not start acting a fool or yelling at somebody, or you know what I mean. So it was just really, man, it was a game of the minds, you can kind of say.
Oh yeah. And you're playing it with yourself, man.
Yeah, you described doing the work.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that? You're playing a game with yourself, but it's that's a whole nother learning, process of this addiction that you got to understand. And then the quicker you understand it, to really get yourself in a position to be peaceful and serene,
right?
Then the more you're gonna be in that state.
Yeah, that's the real work, man. People think not putting the drug or alcohol in is the work. The real work is after you stop putting the drugs or alcohol in.
Yeah. Yeah, because
that's where it gets tough.
I hear it all the time. It's just like, I quit the drugs and alcohol, but I'm still a piece of shit. I hear that all the time, and I'm like, well, that's where a lot of the real work comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just quitting. It's like, fixing yourself and looking at yourself and looking at who you are as a person and all that good stuff. But hey, so you mentioned it, and obviously we know you're at work right now, but I wanted to get to BRC. So that is called Bringing Real Change, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so and where is that located? And if people, what type of facility is it first?
Well, we've got long-term care here in Manor. We've got a men's portion of our recovery center. Then we have the women's, but then we have a younger adults unit, which is actually more in centralized Austin. But we're getting ready to move out to Elgin also. Okay. And then we got the clinical. Yeah. Then we got the clinical aspect of our treatment, which deals with trauma, codependency, family situations that we have modules in, that you have weekly modules in, and that's connected with our detox center, and that's McConnell, and we're in Elgin too. McConnell is in Elgin. And
okay.
So the men's and women's unit and our base office is here in Manor, Texas, where I'm at right now. And our younger adults are in Austin, but they're moving to Elgin. And our detox and more of our clinical portion is here, next door here in Elgin also. So, man, Marsha Stone has done a great job of extending what Mark Houston Foundation was here, which was real heavy 12-step, and she's just branched this thing along, man. And this train is moving. We actually we have recovery centers now in Nashville. So we've extended here over to Tennessee. So man, this train is moving. God is all over this place. We're doing it with integrity. So yeah, man, look at our website, BRC Recovery. I'm sorry, BRC Health System. Health Systems now, and not so much BRC Recovery. But anyway, look us up on the internet. Yeah, man, it's just great working with a company that I'm a product of it, so I can preach it. I know the steps to this recovery that can get you well. Our system works, man. So check us out, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna have to come down and visit you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hey, any excuse to go to Austin, right, man. I'm there, dude. I'm there. Hey, so so real quick, I just want to make sure that people, are you in marketing with them? Is that your position?
No, I'm the alumni coordinator.
Oh, alumni coordinator. Okay, yeah, you said that earlier.
Yeah, I'm the alumni coordinator. Yeah, okay. Do I sound like a marketer too, though?
Hey, well, that's a good thing, But go ahead.
I know, right? But I'm a product of it, so I can speak on it, man, freely. You know what I mean?
For sure, you've lived it.
So I got a guy that I work with.
And I'm actually a product of BRC Men and McConnell. So I really know how well the system works. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it works, man. It really does.
Well, I'm happy for that. Yeah, but Dusty, you had a question?
Yeah, Quincy, I got a question for you. One of the guys I work with, Dirty Dan from Knucklehead Recovery, wanted me to ask you this. He's a big fan. He says, can you tell us about the allure of the lifestyle and how this was a barrier to your recovery? Was quitting the lifestyle as difficult as quitting the drugs?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, something is weird when I say this, man. Like, literally, I hit the scene, excuse me, at 17 and 18, the party scene. And so, really, I seen so much early that it's almost like I peaked the party scene how I wanted it. So, I was more of a closet addict at the house. When I went out, it was a flash, and then I was gone. So that lifestyle, I would say, it's kind of hit or miss for me. Did I really miss it? Because, put it like this: I had to change who came around me. And, the pot smoking friends and this and that, like when I go back home, like I just can't do that. So much more of that, towards the end here a couple of years ago, dude, I was in an extended stay hotel, damn near by myself. Well, a girl was with me sometimes, but she really wasn't there. But yeah, man, at the end, I was, damn near by myself. So I was fighting that game by myself, man. Mm-hmm. So not so much. It was hit or miss, though.
There you have it. Yeah, thank you.
I love that. Okay, so BRC, I looked it up. It looks like it's if you just go to brcrecovery.com. I think that's it. I hope that's it. And okay. I think that's where they can check you out. But, yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, and I know you're at work and all that good stuff, but we got to definitely, if you can, pass on Thomas Henderson's number to me, and I would love to reach out. Obviously, give me a warm introduction. So, but, man, I appreciate you coming on. And then I guess the one final question I have, do you consider yourself a real Texan now? Will you denounce Georgia? That's
this is a tough question because as much as I give Texas flack on my Facebook pages, just messing with that, and it's because of your Texas pride is just so annoying at times.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is the most prideful state ever, do. But I must say, man, I do feel like Texas is my second home. I will say that.
Okay.
Texas has really been great to me. Whether if I'm in Austin now, whether if I've been in Dallas, hell, at some point, you know, the Valley, even though it was bad for me at times, hell, a lot of people that saved my life down there in the Valley too, doing some things I shouldn't have. So heck yeah, you know what I mean? I can't, you know, dismiss the fact of how good Texas has been to me. Well, I gotta admit that.
That was very.
Hey, but listen, I'm gonna stay on y'all butt hard, and it's really all behind the 2018 Sugar Bowl when Texas beat Georgia. That's what all the animosity really stems from.
Okay, so we got it. Well, see, at least you can now you identify it, and now you can process it.
That's right, part of doing the work.
part of doing your work for sure. Well, we'll give you. I mean, that was a very PC answer, so we'll give you a dual
citizenship.
Dual stateship, and you know, we'll make you an honorary Texan. How's that?
Hey, I appreciate it. And go Dogs while we're talking about it.
Yeah. Well, Quincy, man, I can't thank you enough, man, and I appreciate you making your time. And you know, anybody besides yourself, you know, happy birthday to you. And the studio is full of balloons. It's not really, but I'm just saying. But happy birthday to you, man. And I'm glad, you know, I'm glad you're out. You know, spreading the message, and because that's what it's really all about, is spreading that message and planting that seed of hope, you know?
Exactly, man. I have to. It's in the book. We got to give it back. Step 12, baby. All day long.
Mm-hmm. All day, every day.
All about that life of purpose.
Service.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And anybody you want to give a shout out to while you're on, Quincy?
Man, I'm not very good at these shout-outs, but hell, BRC, you know, for practically saving my life with God, all my, you know, mentors, Hollywood Henderson, Anthony Williams, Skip Walker, man. Of course, got to give a shout-out back home to Decatur, Georgia. My kids. Yeah, all my quarterbacks out here, man, shoot.
Oh, yeah.
And,
hey, that's one thing I forgot to ask you about. You do have a quarterback school, too, right?
I do. You can look me up on QuincyCarter17.com. You know, I'm training all the nuances of the position on and off the field because it just don't happen on the field with us quarterbacks. So it's a whole game off the field with leadership. You know, how you go about your business, working out, foods you're putting in your system, that water, that most important drink of them all is water. But yeah, check me out on QuincyCarter17.com.
Okay, and then you do that, is that something you do more in the summertime, and is it during a certain time period, or does that happen year round?
No, it's year round.
Okay.
I really don't like to touch them during the season, though, but we'll get cranking here in a couple weeks as middle school season starts to end here in a couple weeks, though. But practically, I'm year round. I just it's case by case, you know, dealings, especially with my quarterbacks during the season.
All right.
I don't like to overwork them.
All right. So, question then: do you have any prospects coming up that you can see in the game in the NFL?
Oh, heck yeah. I've got Roger Hartsfield over in Dallas at Waxahachie. B.J. Higgins over at Roosevelt in Dallas. I got a younger one, T.J. Hobbs. He's at Nolan Catholic over in Dallas. I got Josh Pale here at Cedar Park. I trained Frank Harris over at UTSA. Got a real promising prospect down in San Antonio who I'm going to watch tonight, Michael Terry III. Got some kids over in Gilmer. Brandon Tillerson, he's actually going to UTSA too. So man, you know, got my own quarterback at my high school, Sabian. Out in Georgia, and so yeah, man.
You got lots of prospects, lots of people, huh? Lots of. If I was a,
and I gotta mention Wesley Smith.
Okay.
Wesley Smith over at Lake Lake Ridge, Mansfield too.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If I was
I've been blessed, man. I've been blessed.
If I was a scout, I'd be writing these names down.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Well, Quincy, man,
man.
I can't thank you enough for making time for us. Next time, we'll try to get you in person, dude. I'd love to have you back and hear more about your story and just shoot the S about recovery, man.
Hey, let's do it, man. Hey, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Yeah,
thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, everybody. All two of us and our board up. we're clapping for you. Thanks for coming on, Quincy. Hey, everybody, real quick, I want to hit my sponsors. That's summersky.us. That is 888-857-8857. And special thanks to my buddy Josh at cardinalhouserecovery.com. These are all good resources. BRC is a good resource. All these are good resources. You can just call, talk to them, start a dialogue, if you think you have a problem or if you think you have, somebody that has a problem. It doesn't hurt to just talk about it and analyze, and maybe eventually you'll get some clarity and then go, maybe
definitely
I do
ain't gonna hurt, will it?
I mean, with me, Quincy, man, I didn't really think I had a problem, obviously, but then you get inside and you get that 30 days, and then I'm like, it looks like I had a big fucking problem. Yeah. Like once you clear the head for a little bit, you're like, man, yeah, maybe it was a problem. Maybe my behavior was not normal.
There was no question for me.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. Well, thanks for coming out. But, Brett, I guess we're going to wrap up a little early today. But, hey, thank you for coming out. Thanks for being on again, Quincy. Hey, and kids, remember, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
Happy birthday, Sydney.
And shout out to Marsha Stone, too.
Drop a bomb.